Disney is known for creating captivating stories, but some of their characters have backstories that are surprisingly dark and disturbing. So let's dive into the 10 most unsettling backstories from Disney movies. At number 10, we have the Beast, a guy who had it all until a curse changed everything. This dude was once a handsome prince living the dream, surrounded by luxury and the good life. But then, he was cursed and turned into a frightening monster. This transformation made him an outcast from society, forcing him to live all alone in his castle. The curse didn't just affect him though. All of his servants were also caught up in the enchantment and turned into household objects. Their stories are pretty tragic since they were just collateral damage, all because they worked for the prince when the enchantress decided to punish him for his vanity and selfishness. The Beast definitely had some self-improvement to do, but it's hard to say he truly deserved such a harsh punishment. He's reminded of his past mistakes every day when he looks in the mirror, and his guilt is amplified by the fact that his entire staff is trapped in the castle with him. Ultimately, his one shot at redemption comes about by pure chance when Belle's dad stumbles upon the castle after getting lost in the forest. At number 9, we have Sher Khan, a villain with a story worth digging into. At first glance, Sher Khan might seem like a heartless predator out to get Mowgli. But when you look deeper, you find that he's way more complex and even sympathetic. He doesn't trust humans because he's seen the damage they can do, so he sees himself as a protector of the jungle and its inhabitants. The live-action version of the Jungle Book explains things more clearly. We find out that Sher Khan was left with scars after a bad encounter with humans. His hatred isn't just blind prejudice, it comes from a place of fear. He worries about the other animals in the jungle if they get too close to humans, and he knows that to keep everyone safe, he has to put on a tough guy act and hide his vulnerability. At number 8, we have Nick Wilde, a charming con artist with a hidden past. Nick Wilde might seem smooth and confident on the outside, but his past isn't all sunshine and rainbows. When he was just a kid, Nick wanted nothing more than to join the Junior Ranger Scouts so he could make friends and feel accepted. But things went south during his initiation when the other scouts played a cruel prank on him, making fun of him and even putting a muzzle on his face. This whole situation shows how Zootopia deals with themes of racism. People assume Nick is sneaky and dangerous just because he's a fox. It's like they've already made up their minds about him without even getting to know him. After this terrible experience, Nick pretty much gives up on trying to fit in. He figures that if everyone's going to see him as a sneaky fox anyway, he might as well become a con artist. But by the end of Zootopia, Nick has a change of heart and decides to join the police academy. This sets up an exciting path for his character in a potential sequel, where Nick might have a more positive outlook as predators and herbivores continue learning how to live together in peace. At number 7, we have Lilo, a young girl who faces a lot of challenges in her life. After their parents pass away in a car accident, Lilo and her older sister Nani only have each other to lean on. Even though the movie doesn't focus too much on the details of their parents' death, it's clear that it was a huge shock for both Lilo and Nani. Losing their parents so suddenly put a strain on their relationship, and Lilo especially struggles with her emotions. Lilo also has trouble making friends with the other girls in her neighborhood. To deal with feeling lonely and missing her parents, she creates a rich inner world of imagination. While this helps Lilo, it can sometimes make things difficult for Nani, who's trying her best to take care of her but can't always connect with her. Nani is a fantastic older sister, but Lilo doesn't have anyone her own age to spend time with. That's why she becomes so attached to Stitch when he comes into her life. For Lilo, Stitch isn't just a pet. He's a friend who understands her and makes her feel less alone. At number 6, we have Cinderella, the classic rags-to-riches princess whose story has inspired countless tales. Cinderella's journey is so well-known that it's become a blueprint for many other stories about characters rising from difficult beginnings to happier lives. In the original Disney movie, her rough childhood takes center stage. After her father passes away, Cinderella is stuck living with a terrible stepmother and two equally unpleasant stepsisters. These family members have shown up in lots of fairy tales, but their nastiness really stands out in Cinderella's story. They gang up on her and make her do all kinds of boring chores. The thing is, Cinderella needs this tough start to make her happy ending feel truly satisfying. By handling all the unfair treatment with kindness and grace, she proves that she deserves her big transformation from a poor servant to a wealthy princess. Cinderella's story is like a moral lesson that shows how a little bit of magic can help a good person get the rewards they deserve, while the cruel and selfish people get what's coming to them. At number 5, we have Snow White, another famous princess who deals with her share of hardships from an early age. Similar to Cinderella, Snow White loses her parents when she's young and is raised by a stepmother who doesn't treat her with love or kindness. But that's not the end of her troubles. Her stepmother, fueled by jealousy, sends a huntsman to take her into the woods and kill her. Luckily, she survives, but now she's homeless and alone in the dangerous forest. Life looks pretty bleak for Snow White as she struggles to survive in the wilderness. She was left for dead by the one person who should have cared for her, and she doesn't have any skills to help her make it on her own. Just when things seem hopeless, she stumbles upon a cottage where she meets the 7 dwarfs. These new friends save her life and give her the love and support she's been missing. Even with the dwarfs' help, her journey isn't easy. She still has to deal with being poisoned before she finally gets the happy ending she deserves. Through all these challenges, Snow White proves that she's not only resilient but also capable of finding love and kindness even in the darkest situations. At number 4, we have Bambi, a classic Disney character with a truly heartbreaking backstory. Even after 80 years, the death of Bambi's mother remains one of the most emotional moments in any Disney movie. It's hard not to feel Bambi's pain as he loses his mother, who played such a huge role in his life. She taught him everything he needed to know about the forest while his father was busy being the great prince of the forest. Bambi's tragic past deeply affects his growth and emotional journey. It forces him to mature quickly and become more independent. Plus, it adds an extra layer of worry when Bambi's love interest Feline finds herself in danger with hunting dogs. Disney has been planning a live-action Bambi remake, but it's had some setbacks in development. Fans are concerned that the original movie's emotional impact won't be the same with CGI characters. The remake has also faced criticism for possibly downplaying the iconic scene where Bambi's mother dies. At number 3, we have Simba, a character with a backstory so tragic, it's inspired by one of Shakespeare's greatest works. In The Lion King, Simba watches as his evil uncle Scar murders his father Mufasa. To make things even more heartbreaking, Scar convinces Simba that it's his own fault. In a moment that shows just how young and innocent Simba is, he desperately tries to wake his father up, unable to accept the harsh reality of what's happened. Simba is still just a cub when Mufasa dies, but as the prince, he doesn't have time to properly grieve. Scar sends the hyenas after Simba, forcing him to deal with an attempted murder on top of the trauma of witnessing his father's death. An upcoming live-action prequel, Mufasa the Lion King, will delve into Mufasa's story before Simba's birth. This new perspective might add even more depth to the tragedy of Mufasa's death and Simba's journey to reclaim his throne. The prequel will explore Mufasa's rise to power and his complicated relationship with his brother Scar, giving us a better understanding of the family dynamics at play in the original film. At number 2, we have Quasimodo, a character with an incredibly dark and tragic backstory from one of Disney's more mature films. The Hunchback of Notre Dame starts by revealing Quasimodo's devastating past. Frollo, the movie's villain, kills Quasimodo's mother on the steps of Notre Dame Cathedral, believing that baby Quasimodo is a demon. Frollo then tries to drown the infant, but luckily, the archdeacon saves Quasimodo just in time. However, he still faces a difficult childhood, as Frollo hides him away in the cathedral's bell tower. The name Frollo gives Quasimodo meaning half-formed, speaks volumes about how Frollo views him. He finds Quasimodo's appearance disturbing and sees him as less than human. Despite having such a cruel and prejudiced parental figure, Quasimodo grows up to be a kind-hearted man with a surprisingly positive outlook on life. Overcoming the persecution he faces due to his race and appearance, he eventually becomes a hero in Paris. His resilience and determination in the face of adversity make Quasimodo one of Disney's most inspiring characters, even if his story is often overlooked due to the film's darker themes. At number 1, we have Rapunzel, a Disney princess with a backstory so tragic, it's based on one of the most famous folk tales of all time. The story of Rapunzel in its many versions always revolves around the key detail of her being trapped in a tall tower because of her long, beautiful hair. This alone makes her a pitiable character. However, Disney's Tangled adds a few more layers to this heartbreaking tale. In the film, Rapunzel is kidnapped as a baby so that Gothel can use the magical healing powers of her hair for her own benefit. Gothel locks Rapunzel away and manipulates her for years, leading her to grow up unaware of her true identity and the injustice she's suffered. This manipulation warps Rapunzel's view of the world and creates a tragic dramatic irony. She's unaware of Gothel's actions and her own backstory. Every year on her birthday, Rapunzel sees lanterns floating in the sky, not knowing that they're released by her parents who hope for her safe return. This poignant detail adds another layer of sadness to Rapunzel's story, as the truth is kept just out of her reach until she discovers it for herself.